It's about April 25th. It's getting towards the end of ramp season. The ramps start off in early April, and when the trees leaf out, the ramps will turn yellow and disappear. We've been out harvesting ramps. This is what we send to market. A very beautiful vegetable. There's actually two species. There's this rather common one, Allium tricoccum. And there's this quite rare one, relatively rare, Allium bicknellii. Doesn't have any red in it. Otherwise, they're pretty much interchangeable. So as you see, we don't have any roots on our ramps. Most people, when they collect ramps, dig up the whole thing, and then they take the root off and throw it away. That is a very wasteful way to do it. We prefer to harvest them according to the Cherokee Indian fashion. That one's down deep. So they can often be fairly deep. These along with a lot of these other spring ephemerals. Alright, so here's a nice size ramp. So right there, that bit is technically a rhizome, or an underground stem. So this part, which everybody throws away, can make a new plant. If you take that and stick it in the ground, it'll leaf out next year, and in a few years it'll get up to full size again. We prefer to just leave it in the ground. That's the American Indian way of harvesting, is to just reach down with your knife to what you think is going to be about the right depth. You're never quite sure. And that's what we harvest. So the root's going to stay in the ground, so we could keep doing this probably indefinitely. Maybe it'd be good to do it every other year, let's say, so the plant didn't suffer too much, but this is not killing any plants. So ramps are entirely grown from seed. I mean, occasionally that little rhizome will produce two ramps right next to each other, but they don't really run by the roots. If you get into the places where the ramps are growing, they cover the ground. They just totally carpet the ground for a considerable distance. All ramps. And you might think that they would go on forever. But they are already getting sort of thinned out up in New York, where the big rush to supply gourmet restaurants started 10 or 15 years ago. The thing about ramps is they grow from seed, and it takes 7 years for one to get full size from seed. The reason for that is that it's only really out of the ground for about a month out of the year. So it progresses very slowly. After you plant the seed, for the first maybe 4 years, it just looks like a blade of grass. It's not until it's around the age of 4 or 5 that it starts to make this wider looking leaf. So if you look around here, you can see there's quite a lot of ramps. Over on this side, you can scan around, scan down here. There was no ramps here 10 years ago. I planted all these ramps, gathered a bunch of seed, and just broadcast it. So in the autumn, the seed is ready about in September, and that's soon the leaves are going to come down. You can just take the seed if you can get it and just fling it around. The leaves are going to come down on top of it and cover it. Sometimes they'll germinate the very first winter. Otherwise they'll germinate the following year. I mean the very first spring. Otherwise the following year. And any kind of rich cove situation, it has to be a soil that never dries out. Optimally north facing. This is south facing, which is why I chose this little ravine, which is kind of the moistest, dampest place on my property. And the ramps have been doing great. They've started spreading on their own now. They're working their way in all directions into the woods. The seeds definitely get around. We'll do another little video. These are going to disappear, as I said, when the trees leaf out in another couple of weeks. But then shortly after that, they'll put up a flower stalk. So the leaf disappears, then comes the flower stalk. makes the seeds, which you then harvest in September or so. So we'll do a follow-up video to show you that part of it. All right, we're at Mountain Gardens. It's about June 26th, I think. And I just wanted to show the flowers of the ramps. So we already had a film about harvesting ramps, which are a spring ephemeral, which make their growth between the time the soil warms up in late March and the time the trees leaf out. And then the leaves disappear, turn yellow. And then shortly thereafter, what a lot of people are totally unaware of is the flower stalk comes up. So typically in the rich woods where the ramps are growing, there'll be all kinds of other stuff coming up. After the spring ephemerals fade out, the trilliums, the bloodroot, the squirrel corn, and so on, there's big masses of something, frequently woods nettle. But here we've sort of cleared it out so you can get a clear look at these ramp flowers. They've been flowering for a couple of weeks now probably, and this one is actually going on towards making little seed pods, little green seed pods. We'll try and get a close-up. And then on towards mid-August, September, even into October, these little green pods will pop open. Each one has 3 black shiny seeds in it. And if you want to grow a lot of ramps, that's the time to go out in the woods. If you can remember where the ramps grow, you can go through and pick the seeds. So we'll do another video of that at seed harvesting time. But right now I just wanted to show you what the flowers look like. So if you happen to see these in the woods, you'll know there's ramps growing there.